Morning, I'm Torte de Lini. Since patch 7.35, there's been a kind of a rising number of Broodmother pickers. I don't know if you're seeing it at your level. I'm not really seeing it at my level, except when I pick it, and just to see if this build was as cool as I was seeing it to be. And it's really interesting when we look at Broodmother pickers. They've always been associated in two ways. The first one was I always associated Broodmother pickers with Smurfs. Kind of a cheese pick, kind of like a Huskar, right? If you saw Broodmother pick mid, you knew it was either a Smurf or just someone who's just cheesing with Broodmother because nobody picked a counter for her. That's kind of gone away, and now we see these new Broodmother styles. One was the offlane Broodmother build during the Wraith Pack era, where she went Pipe and Greaves, was really interesting. Kind of made her big bulk hero for spiders and just either took down opponents by overpowering them, or more importantly, just stayed as the backbone of the enemy team, of the allied team or enemy team, and kind of had great pushing power with her spiders. Now there's a new version, I would say. Now there's a 7.33 New Frontiers version where Broodmother pickers are now universal attribute heroes, so any damage, or rather any stats you build gives you damage. So you'd go the standard universal attribute hero builds like Echo Saber, you'd go Mantis-style, you go Lincoln Sphere maybe if you need it, you go Soul Curious or Scotty, and you go Nullifier to punish anyone who tries to escape from your clutches as a big annoying spider. So now there's a third trend, and it's kind of a niche trend. I'm not sure if it's becoming real right now. A lot of Broodmother pickers are buying it. Let me see if I can take a look for us on the Pro Tracker. Nope, that's not what I want to show, but kind of a big spoiler there. It's now Bloodthorn. And Bloodthorn for Broodmother is really interesting. You're seeing a lot of people kind of buy this for the hero. You see it 95 to 82% as a mid. You're seeing it bought 72% if you're mid, right? If I look on recent matches, especially for Pulse 3, where it's a lot more popular, you see Bloodthorn as a first time. You're rushing Bloodthorn, and it seems kind of weird. Broodmothers used to buy Orchid, especially if they wanted to win their mid lane when they were kind of that Smurfy cheesy pick, right? You go Bloodthorn, you go Diffusal, you crush your mid, then you go farm or you go gang as much as you can. That was like 4 or 5 years ago. Now this new Bloodthorn build, instead of being kind of about Broodmother being this big tanky universal attribute hero, she's now just a vessel to deliver what I would consider an initiating damage dealing that your spiders will do. So your spiders are now more important than Broodmother, except for Broodmother having the Bloodthorn. And on top of that, it makes some really fun early game craziness on how to play Broodmother. Hopefully we'll get an example on this match we're watching now. But why are Broodmothers doing this? Well, for starters, you kind of have to understand why Bloodthorn has changed. And if you have played as Arc Warden, you're probably very familiar with this answer already. But in 7.35, they changed Bloodthorn. In 7.35, they changed it to be now, instead of having the Mage Slayer component, which was great for late game carries, like let's say Spectre or even the Naga Siren after building Orchid. Now the Bloodthorn has relatively same price. Stats are kind of whatever. But the two components that build into it, Javelin and Hyperstone, make it much nicer to build into Bloodthorn. And then the second part is the Soul Rend, which is the silence component of Orchid that now goes into Bloodthorn, or still does, but now is even more enhanced. Deals 60 bonus magical damage. And what you have to understand is that is a flat 60 bonus magical damage. So that means that you can deal 100 damage, or you can deal 1 damage as your normal damage, but you will always deal 60 bonus magical damage on each attack from any unit that is targeting the hero that you used Bloodthorn on, or the Soul Rend active on. Not to mention also that your Javelin in this build has moved up from 30 to 40%. So not only, let's say you have Skeletons as Wraithing, or let's say Spiders as Broodmother, not only if you have that value, not only if you have the chance to pierce your normal attack damage through the armor, but on top of that, you're dealing 60 bonus magical damage each time you attack. And these Skeletons, or this Broodmother's spiders, they attack relatively fast. They attack decently fast. So if you have, let's say, 10 spiders, you're dealing 600 damage in one moment during that soul ramp component, and that's pretty wild. That's pretty insane. So they gave up the Mage Slayer, which was 35% of soul damage, magic damage reduction on your target, meaning they dealt less damage on output, and now it's 60 bonus magic damage, which is kind of like the old Bloodthorn version, where instead of doing crit, which was kind of the first Bloodthorn version, you did crit, or second Bloodthorn version. Instead of crit, you're now doing magical damage, which is a nice toss-up or differential from, let's say, MKB, which was a chance of dealing magic damage on top of piercing through. So another area you need to understand is that with Broodmother, she has an ability called Sucumbola. And Sucumbola, when you think of it, you think miss attack, and you think miss attack, and you think slow. But it has one more area you didn't remember, or at least I didn't remember. Let's see if we can get an example real quick. You had one more area that you didn't notice, and it's the extra magic damage it does. You do bonus magic damage on anyone you target with Sucumbola. So let's see if we can get an example here. Oh, she already used it. So really interesting Broodmother. Basically all she's doing is she is collecting spiders. So she's collecting her nice little spiders. She's gonna look for an opportunity. Now watch how fast this happens. I'm hoping this is it. And what she's gonna do is just cast Bloodthorn and then just literally send all the spiders out. So it's actually really, really cool of an ability, because you don't really have to do a whole lot. It doesn't put you at risk. It does absolutely nothing. It's actually pretty incredible, because it as I said before, it puts Broodmother to be only a hero that can target people and then send the spiders out while putting herself at almost no risk. And you can use it on anyone. You can use it on ancients, you can use it on creeps, you can use it on anything, and you will do that bonus magical damage, and it costs only 100 mana, which is nothing for a Broodmother into this late game period. So the build is simple. You go farm your lane, you get Orchid, you maybe get a few kills when there, especially if you're an offlane and you work for your pause forward. You farm up the Bloodthorn, you force fight when you cast Soul Rend on enemies with Sucumbola, you send your spiders in, you don't even have to be there, and the enemies will practically melt, and it doesn't put Broodmother at risk. And that's why I kind of said it was kind of a cheesy pick, because it doesn't really do a whole lot. Here's a perfect example. This is actually the example I want here. So she's going to be a little bit confused. She's going to look for a target. Watch how fast she takes down this puck. This is less than a second. Boom. Less than a second. Did you see how fast that was? Let's do that one again. Let's do it a little bit slower. Hopefully I can't get it slow. It's kind of insane. Watch Sight of Ice. That's additional hold, so she can't Yule out or anything. That is insane. What the hell? Oh my god, I can't believe that. So let's look at the effect. The effects is really just two effects. One, you're doing Bloodthorn, as I said before. Any damage you deal has a chance of piercing, plus it's bonus magical damage. I don't know why Bloodthorn here doesn't say deal 60 magic extra damage. It just says deal 60 extra damage. It's magic damage. And on top of that, the Sucumbola. Look at the Sucumbola. Slow 55%. We know that. Taking bonus magic damage per enemy attack and missing 55% of attacks. That's the key part. Taking bonus magic damage per enemy attack. That means the spiders are dealing more damage. The spiders are dealing amplified magic damage. The spiders are piercing through. And you don't even have to be there. Broodmother has not even attacked yet. I know it's kind of weird, the glitch here, but Broodmother has not even attacked yet. It's just been the spiders. For me, that's just absolutely wild. And it makes the build pretty straightforward. And that is why we're seeing Broodmothers go Bloodthorn, because it gives them great attack speed, which they love, especially when they get Insatiable Hunger maxed out last. They love the extra magic damage. It makes their spiders really strong without them having to do a whole lot, right? Just Bloodthorn, send spiders out, sit back and hope to God you get the kill. And on top of that, it gives a disabling effect, so people can't run away from a hero that is faster than them, that deals more damage to them, that causes you to miss, and that is slowing you down. That is why Broodmother loves this, because it makes her 1v1 fights all the more in her favor, and more importantly, it takes advantage of her positioning. With a Broodmother, you can play around your webs, you can look for opportunities, and then you can go hard on whoever you want with the Bloodthorn effect and your spiders. So that comes down to my last point. I don't want to make this video too long. Also, I'm having trouble doing this in one take. That comes down to my last discussion is what are the Bloodthorn ramifications. And this gives a lot of insight into how Bloodthorn is kind of going to be seen and kind of maybe how to be picked here. When people picked it before, it was kind of like a late game pickup after you disassembled. Let me play this video for you guys so you don't have to watch me. When you picked it before, it kind of made it kind of became a late game pick when you picked Bloodthorn, right? After you disassembled it from Echo Saber and had items left over. So, for example, you saw Slarks do it. Slarks used to build Diffuser Echo Saber, maybe disassemble, and then they would have a Mage Slayer off it and build Aghanim Scepter with the Ogre Axe component from Echo Saber, or they'd keep it and then they build Bloodthorn. Or you saw it on Spectre. Spectre was also a nice late game item. For Spectre, we saw late towards his period, where Spectre would build, I hate how I have to memorize this, Radiance into Manta Style, into, let's say, a Scotty or a Heart or a Butterfly, and then 6 items, he would pick up a Bloodthorn, and that will be for the Mage Slayer component. He would be able to shut down people, or he'd be able to jump on Mage Slayer and Bloodthorn Solar in effect, summon his Manta Styles, go hard on that one guy, and then disappear into the night. And then now, we're kind of see this new Bloodthorn effect kind of be interesting, where it is a late game pickup item that calls back to its original form of anyone who attacks the targeted enemy deals crit damage. Now, instead of crit damage, it's going to be magic damage. On top of that, it does a 40% pierce, so much higher than the 30% we saw with Javelin. 40% pierce plus the extra attack speed. So less core stats value and mana, and more about being a late game magic alternative item, right? The original version of Daedalus, I wonder if we can actually, if I have the note for it here. So if you read the original version, or one of the original versions, because this Bloodthorn has been through a lot of changes, in 7.31, so quite a few years ago, we saw this one give the Mage Slayer component, which we talked about, 20 intelligence, 60 attack speed, so quite good, 50 damage, 5 mana regeneration, 20% magic resistance, so that was the reason why Spectre picked it up. That magic resistance was also nice on top of everything else. And then what you did is all attacks silenced on the target will have True Strike and 100% chance to crit 430 damage. So it was supposed to be kind of a sideline between MKB and Daedalus, and Bloodthorn was supposed to be in the middle. Bloodthorn gave some attack speed like MKB, and Bloodthorn gave some crit like Daedalus, and it had True Strike like MKB, but only for a small period, not on all attacks, only when you cast Soul Rend. And that made it really interesting for heroes like Spectre, as I talked about. Naga still goes Bloodthorn, if you remember. Naga goes something like Meta Style Orchid into Heart, if I remember. And then she would build the Bloodthorn. That was really interesting. Now the new version we see here still relatively costs the same in 7.35. That's this patch now, or 7.35B as well. Health regen has gone pretty much the same. Attack speed has gone way up from 60 to 100, so that's probably one of the highest out there, next to Assault Cuirass and Mjolnir, and probably less than Moonshard. Moonshard is what, 140? Doesn't provide the magic resistance because there's no more Mage Slayer. Does the Javelin effect, right? Piercing from 30 to 40%, which is just absolutely wild. And then all attacks against the target deals 60 bonus magical damage. That is where it really matters. And this new version no longer overshadows Daedalus, no longer overshadows MKB. It's just a nice in between MKB plus, right? It gives an alternative value for people who want to mix up their damage, where they don't want to just deal magic damage, but your only choice to buy magic damage, where they only, it's for heroes late game again that don't just want to deal physical damage. They got to get through the armor somehow, so they used to buy MKB, right? If you played Medusa, right, sometimes you'd go Daedalus and you'd grab an MKB because you're dealing with a Dragonite and you have no way to pierce that kind of armor. Now you have an alternative secondary item that you can pick up. That's pretty good. Maybe not for Medusa, but for other heroes, you can go Bloodthorn, which gives you attack speed, gives you straight magic damage. Doesn't do crit. You can just pick up crit somewhere else, like let's say Kanda or dataless as always. And it makes it so your late game magic mix-up damage is not reliant on MKB anymore. And if you look at a lot of items that came out in this patch, let's see if I can get it out for you guys. If you look at the items that came out in this patch, like Revenant's Brooch was one, Bloodthorn was one, Conda, which kind of is one, not really. You're seeing them kind of solve an issue of late game, and this is the ramification of Bloodthorn. You're kind of seeing them solve a late game damage. People say it's the spellcaster patch, and in a sense it is, but it's really more of the magic dealing patch, where any hero now can be both a physical damage dealer and become a magic damage dealer, and vice versa as well. Any magical hero can now also be a physical damage hero with these mix-up items. So you as a team, when you build defenses, you can't, if you're playing, let's say, against a Juggernaut, really bad example, but let's say you're playing against a Juggernaut, you can't just build physical and then be okay as a big tank initiator. Now you need, let's say, Pipe. Pipe is going to be very important. You're going to see Eternal Shroud become very important. You're going to see Glimmer Cape also become very important, because you need additional magic damage, not against, you know, big spells like Laguna Blade or Lion Finger. You're going to need it because of the physical attack damage now converting into actual magic damage, right? If you thought a hero like Muerta was a big problem with her Pierce the Veil, right? That's not Muerta, right? Where Pierce the Veil was just magic damage that went right through your armor late game. Well, there's now a lot of her that can do it, and more importantly, they can build it in any real item that they have room for. Anyway, I don't want to talk anymore. I've kind of talked your head off, and it wasn't that coherent. So, really cool build for Broodmother. Really interesting hero, so to speak. That was quick. You probably wouldn't notice this, because who the hell plays Broodmother except those cheesy pickers? You'll see it on my stream, because I'm going to try again. There are still some old school Echo Saber builders, but they're not that common. But yeah, check it out. Try it out, Broodmother, rushing out Bloodthorn. Just be disciplined, get it, buy it ASAP, and have fun with it. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments. Hope you guys come back next time. And yeah, we'd really love it if you could subscribe, like, comment, make the algorithm think I'm cool with these kind of rambling videos. And I'll see you next morning. Cheers.